just the way I am. And it's worked. I did not have to change what I believe in to make what I enjoy doing.
The car started speeding up really fast. And I was wondering, was he driving fast? But he wasn't. It was out of control. And I noticed he was struggling with the wheel. And all of a sudden, I heard this great big bang.
We love doing the things that we have to do to make life great.
That's right.
Do things we have to do to people so that they move further, and they can move better, live their lives better.
Teddy Bear Pendergrass was a man blessed with it all. His husky, passionate, yet effortless baritone was captivating, exceptionally powering his timeless, smooth, and seductive music. When it comes to his looks, only the ladies can describe him best. Tall, handsome, and stylish, he exuded confidence that made him irresistible. In fact, at his unique women-only concerts, many of his adoring fans would throw lingerie on stage, a testament to the wild affection they had for him.
He was a very handsome man, I must say. He was very handsome.
Topping this off with his electrifying performances and alluring persona, he was often seen as a symbol of sensuality, aptly nicknamed the Godfather of S. Yet Pendergrass was more than a magnetic performer. His intelligence and articulate nature distinguished him in the music industry. He was notably astute in business, a rare trait among his contemporaries.
I guess the question everybody's asking you is, how does it feel to be a solo?
It feels great, but then again, it bothers my nerves, Donald. Now there's nobody else to share the weight with me.
Being the first African-American artist to achieve 5 consecutive platinum albums from 1977 to 1980 was just one testament to his unmatched talent and appeal. However, his soaring career took a tragic turn on March 18, 1982, when he was involved in a devastating car accident on the notoriously windy and curvy road in Philly's Germantown, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down.
I go home and I reflect as to what happened that year and what can I do to improve upon myself for the year to come.
This incident plunged him into a prolonged period of depression and regret. Though he eventually mustered the strength to move on, he never quite regained his pre-accident stature. Speculations abounded regarding the cause of the accident, whether it was the result of foul play, karma, or a mechanical failure in his Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit remains a subject of debate. But before we dive deep into the chilling and disturbing details of that day, let's travel back in time and get to know how this gentleman defied all odds to become one of the most respected and celebrated artists of all time. Theodore Teddy Pendergrass was born on March 26, 1950 at Philadelphia's Thomas Jefferson Hospital, the only child of Jesse and Ida Geraldine Pendergrass. His birth was special, a gift from God according to his mother Ida. His parents had met and married in South Carolina in 1936 and had been together until Jesse was drafted to serve in World War II, separating them temporarily. During their short periods together, life was challenging, particularly for his mother. Teddy's exposure to the church environment sparked his early interest in music. He began singing as early as age 2 and astonished church congregants at age 3 when he fluently sang the song "If I Could Write a Letter to Heaven." Teddy's upbringing was marked by his mother's steadfast support, ensuring he never lacked care, nutrition, or luxurious activities like ice skating. Beyond this, his academic prowess was evident from his first day at McIntyre Elementary School, where he excelled with ease. Throughout his schooling years, his interest was heavily driven towards music classes, and he never missed being in the choir of the schools he attended.
It feels great, but then again, it bothers my nerves, Donald. I'm telling you.
At his mother's workplace, which had heavy musical equipment, Teddy used the special privileges given to them to play the drums during off hours, fueling his growing passion for music even more. After some time, they relocated to an apartment that brought them close to the Uptown Theater, Philadelphia's R&B hub. Here, Teddy witnessed live performances by a number of great Motown artists. But it was Jackie Wilson's performance which sent female fans into a frenzy that decisively influenced his ambition to become a singer. Witnessing the adulation Wilson received, combined with his growing interest in girls, solidified his desire to pursue a career in music. As Teddy entered prime adolescence, he began to drift away from his faith. However, his passion for music remained steadfast. He continued to participate in school choirs, joining the Edison Master Singers at Thomas Alva Edison High School. Back home, living in a mixed neighborhood in Philadelphia during a time of heightened gang activity, Teddy found himself in a challenging environment. One evening, he witnessed a robbery committed by 2 young African-American gang members. When the police arrived, they wrongfully detained Teddy, mistaking him for one of the perpetrators. Despite the evidence in his favor, he was unjustly sentenced to 4 months at the Youth Study Center in Philadelphia.
In that, I understand, and I began to understand, that those are some of the key elements that people are concerned with once you have.
Despite these challenges, his commitment to earning an honest living, influenced by his strong Christian upbringing, remained unwavering. Even through the odd jobs, Teddy's ambition to become a singer persisted. He was always on the lookout for opportunities. In the process, he decided to take occasional gigs drumming at small local clubs, and also formed the Paramounts with friends Tony Talent and Kenny Gamble. His voice just roared over you, says writer and producer Huff. He had that baritone voice, but Teddy was raw. I think Teddy really knew how good he was, but he started as a drummer who sang in the background. I remember saying, Gamble, this guy's got a sound. They met G. Lawson, a talent scout who became their manager and promised them stardom. Teddy recorded singles like We Got Love, Angel with Muddy Feet, and Should I Go or Should I Stay? But unfortunately, he never heard from Lawson again, nor did he receive the records. At 18, Teddy Pendergrass seized an opportunity in Atlantic City, a hub for vibrant clubs with non-stop live music. Working as a waiter at Reggie EDG Hill's Supper Club, he stumbled upon a life-changing chance when Little Royal, a performer styled after James Brown, needed a new drummer. Teddy auditioned and impressively secured the job. However, dissatisfaction with financial arrangements led him to leave when the group toured Quebec and Canada and headed back home disappointed. Despite this setback, his determination remained unshaken. He joined a group called Signs of the Times as a drummer and later moved to the Soul Messengers. Eventually, he was hired by a group called the Cadillacs, where his journey took a significant turn one night while performing with them. Harold Melvin of the well-established Blue Notes recognized Teddy Pendergrass's talent and, seeking fresh talent for his group, offered Teddy a position as a drummer. This decision would soon propel Teddy's career in unforeseen ways. Working with Harold Melvin marked a pivotal moment in Teddy's career, as he often reflected on this period as the most significant in his professional life. He credited Harold with teaching him vital survival skills in the competitive show business world.
You're my greatest, my latest, my greatest inspiration.
At that time, the Blue Notes, though regularly booked, were not yet headliners. Their persistence and resilience, however, kept them going. Teddy in particular honed his drumming skills and started gaining recognition in the field. Despite their efforts, the absence of major hits meant performing in smaller venues, leading to financial struggles. There were days when they went hungry and had difficulty affording hotel rooms. Teddy, known for his impatience, dreamed of singing but found the opportunity far-fetched as a drummer. He occasionally sang with the group but grew frustrated with the lack of opportunities to lead. Overheard discussing his intention to quit with a club dancer, Harold Melvin, not wanting to lose him, offered Teddy a chance to join the singing group. Teddy accepted the offer eagerly. Teddy's addition to the singing lineup, sharing lead vocals with Harold, began to draw more recognition and shows. Though financial hardships persisted, their fortune turned in 1972 during a performance at the Apollo Club in Camden, New Jersey. There, they caught the attention of Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff from Philadelphia International Records.
Teddy Pendergrass was singing, and Huff called me later that day and said, "Man, you gotta hear this guy." He was just singing nonchalantly in the background.
Their interest in the group marked the beginning of a brighter future. Harold Melvin rebranded the group to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes to assert his leadership, and due to his envy towards the now fan favorite Teddy Pendergrass.
Harold was doing some really raunchy stuff, but he just got greedier and greedier. Harold was a cold-hearted guy, very cold-hearted.
Under the new label, the group released their first single, I Miss You, in August 1972. The follow-up hit, If You Don't Know Me By Now, in September catapulted them to mainstream success, topping the US R&B chart and reaching number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100.
If you don't know me, baby.
Teddy's success with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes brought him fame, wealth, and an extravagant lifestyle aligning with his dreams. If there wasn't no Teddy, there wouldn't have been no Blue Notes, says singer Charles Mintz, who recorded with Pendergrass in the mid-60s under the direction of Uplooks Lawson, and producer Jesse Herring. And if there wasn't no Teddy, there wouldn't have been no big-time Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff either. However, the thrill was short-lived as he became increasingly frustrated within the group. Despite being the key factor in the group's flourishing career, Teddy felt undervalued and overshadowed by Harold Melvin. Harold's authoritative control and minimal contribution to the group's performances irked him. Teddy was aware of Harold's exploitative tendencies and grew increasingly disillusioned, particularly when Harold's arrogance cost them gigs. An incident at the Playboy Club in Los Angeles exemplified this. Harold's dispute with the club management led to the group shouldering their expenses for the week, while Harold luxuriated in comfort, leaving the rest struggling financially. When the group approached Teddy to request financial help from Harold, a confrontation ensued. Teddy found Harold with some of his well-heeled friends and hangers-on, laughing and joking while indulging in drugs. Teddy was furious at Harold's apparent disregard for their plight.
He knew they were making money, and he would pay them peanuts.
To calm Teddy down, Harold went over to his bedroom to get him something. A curious Teddy followed him and peeked around the doorframe, only to witness Harold picking a stack of notes, presumably thousands of dollars.
And he said he took a $100 bill off of one of the stacks. He said he gave him $100. When my dad walked out the door that day, he said, "I'm going on my own."
After that night, Teddy decided he had had enough. He was not going to tolerate the exploitation any longer, and he made the decision to quit the group. And that's exactly what he did. As the news of Teddy Pender's departure from Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes spread, the group's popularity waned, leading to other members exiting to join Teddy. Despite threats of bodily harm from Harold Melvin, Teddy remained steadfast in his pursuit of a solo career. In need of a manager to navigate the business aspects of the music industry, Teddy turned to Taz Lang, a smart and successful businesswoman and the ex-wife of Philadelphia Eagles fullback Izzy Lang. At the time, Taz was Teddy's girlfriend, known for her connections with high-profile celebrities like Dionne Warwick and Nancy Wilson. Teddy, drawn to Taz's intellect and beauty, moved into her Mount Airy home, a popular gathering place for celebrities. With their relationship flourishing, Teddy asked Taz for a $115,000 loan to support his Teddy Bear Productions company, offering her 10% of the royalties from his first album. She agreed, and despite their breakup 2 months later, Taz continued as his business manager, even negotiating a solo deal with Gamble and Huff. However, a startling discovery in the contract strained their professional relationship. Contrary to their agreement of Taz receiving 10% from only the first album, the contract entitled her to a perpetual 10% from all of Teddy's future albums and business earnings. Teddy's frustration mirrored his past experience with Harold Melvin, feeling trapped and exploited. Despite confronting Taz, she stood firm, unwilling to renegotiate or terminate the contract. Although they remained business partners, Teddy's trust in Taz wavered significantly, a stark contrast to his initial confidence in her protective instincts from exploitation within his inner circle. Taz did not leave with them and decided to go back home. She called her mother, Eva Ritter, and said, "I've got something to tell you, but I can't tell you what it is until I get there." That would be the last thing she said to her mother. On April 14, 1977, a tragic event occurred that profoundly affected Teddy Pendergrass's life. That night, Taz Lang was fatally shot outside her home while accompanied by Joseph Jojo Tinez, an employee of Teddy who was baffled by the sudden attack. The perpetrator emerged from nearby bushes and shot Taz, K-ing her instantly while Jojo was getting something out of the car trunk, leaving the crime unsolved and shrouded in mystery.
I said, what the hell does this mean? Because I'm here and cannot move.
The police theorized that someone may have wanted to scare her but instead K'd her. Jojo Tinez, deeply troubled by the incident, carried the burden of that night until his death in 2013. Taz's funeral took place on April 19, 1977, at the Second Macedonia Baptist Church with Reverend Jesse Jackson delivering the eulogy. She was interred at Chelton Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia. At the funeral, Teddy faced suspicion and hostility, with some attendees believing he was involved in Taz's M. Detective Edward Hughes said at the time, quote, "If someone was set to K her, it wasn't a real professional job. If the bullet doesn't go through her arm, all she has is a serious arm injury. But anything's possible, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone had been sent there to scare her." Theories abounded, implicating the Philadelphia Black Mafia and Philadelphia International Records, who were rumored to resent Lang's influence over Teddy's career. Speculation also arose about Teddy's rekindled connections with childhood friends who were now in the Mafia, believed to be a protective measure against Harold Melvin's threats. Taz Lang was known for her dedication to Teddy Bear Productions and her efforts to eliminate financial exploitation of Teddy. However, her role may have made her a target. Questions lingered. Did Teddy orchestrate the M to retaliate against Taz for contract disputes? Was it a long con for Teddy to exploit her resources and then eliminate her as she died even before his first album was released? Or was it an opportunistic act by someone else, knowing the blame would likely fall on Teddy? The unresolved nature of the case suggests the involvement of powerful figures beyond Teddy. While speculation continues, Teddy, who also received threats, remained undeterred in pursuing his ambitions.
His statement to me at that point was that, Brinkley, you know, if I wanted to commit I couldn't. He said, all that I wanted to do, all that I tried to do, here I am.
A week after the tragic loss of Taz, Teddy Pendergrass made a powerful solo debut at New York City's Carnegie Hall, marking the start of a new chapter in his career. He soon released his self-titled album, which achieved platinum status, driven by the disco hit I Don't Love You Anymore and the top 20 R&B single The Whole Town's Laughing at Me. The album also featured popular tracks like You Can't Hide From Yourself, The More I Get, The More I Want, and the ballad And If I Had. In 1978, Teddy's second album, Life is a Song Worth Singing, hit the shelves with standout singles like Only You and the chart-topping R&B hit Close the Door, cementing his image as a leading S symbol in soul music. The album, which reached double platinum and topped the R&B charts, included hits like Get Up, Get Down, Get Funky, Get Loose, It Don't Hurt Now, and When Somebody Loves You Back. Teddy continued his success with the 1979 albums Teddy and Live Coast to Coast, and the 1980 album TP featuring the hit Love TKO and a duet with Stephanie Mills, Feel the Fire, as well as the Ashford and Simpson composition Is It Still Good to You?
I want to feel the fire.
From 1977 to 1981, Pendergrass achieved an unprecedented feat, releasing 5 consecutive platinum albums, setting a record for an R&B artist. His skyrocketing popularity led to sold-out concerts and the innovative women-only concerts organized by his manager, Shep Gordon.
Turn off the light.
These concerts, where fans often threw lingerie on stage and received chocolate-covered teddy bear lollipops, significantly boosted his fame, earning him the nickname the Black Elvis. He even bought a 34-room mansion near Philadelphia akin to Elvis's Graceland. By 1982, Pendergrass had firmly established himself as a top R&B artist, competing with legends like Marvin Gaye and surpassing peers like Barry White. His influence was evident in the R&B genre, inspiring responses from other artists such as the Isley Brothers with their hit Don't Say Goodnight, It's Time for Love, as a homage to this song Turn Off the Lights. Teddy Pendergrass's meteoric rise to fame brought with it an aura of invincibility and a touch of arrogance. He was living a life of luxury, owning horses, a private jet, a variety of high-end cars, and securing lucrative endorsement deals, including with liquor companies. He even launched his own fashion line, the Teddy Pendergrass Celebrity Jeans. However, his success and lifestyle inevitably attracted envy and enemies, not only from his industry achievements, but also from personal missteps. The legendary Rick James, a fellow artist managed by Shep Gordon, allegedly warned Teddy about his reckless behavior and hubris. Teddy's habit of engaging in affairs with other men's wives and his perceived self-importance were sources of conflict. Disputes arose with notable figures like the Isley Brothers, Bobby Womack's crew, and Marvin Gaye, who accused him of imitating his style and having an affair with his wife. Teddy's penchant for speeding often put him on the police radar, and he was a target for mobster extortion attempts. The jealousy and resentment from those he had wronged created a constant threat to his safety. On one occasion, a woman he had wronged during a tour attempted to attack him with a knife backstage, a situation he narrowly escaped due to his quick reaction. This environment of envy and vengeance was a persistent shadow over his otherwise glittering career. On March 18, 1982, just before his 32nd birthday, Teddy Pendergrass experienced a life-altering event in Philadelphia's East Falls area. He recounts in his book Truly Blessed how this incident always haunted him. That evening, Teddy, the ladies' man, was at Club Elan with a friend IETG when they were approached by Tanika Watson, a person he vaguely remembered from the 70s. Unbeknownst to Teddy, Tanika, born John Watson, had transitioned to a woman in 1977 as she felt she was trapped in the wrong body. It is said that the night was advancing and IET had to work the next day, so Teddy offered to drop her off at her place and requested Tanika to tag along, promising to return her to the club later. He called me over to his car. It was a Rolls Royce, Watson says. I thought he was a pimp because I wasn't used to people really having Rolls Royces.
And I said, I'm leaving because I have to get up early tomorrow. He said, well, I'm getting ready to leave too. Would you like a ride home? So I said, sure.
After dropping off IET at her place and heading back to downtown Philadelphia along Lincoln Drive, known for its treacherous curves, his Rolls Royce's brakes failed, and it crashed into a tree, paralyzing Teddy from the chest down.
He had a fracture in the neck, which paralyzed him down in the arms and down in the legs.
Tanika, interestingly, sustained only minor injuries, sparking various rumors and speculations among fans, including suspicions that she was part of a plot against him. Soon after the accident, Watson tried to reach out to Pendergrass, but she was unsuccessful. I went to the hospital where he was and there was a woman there. She said, well, you're not going to see him before his son does, and she caused this big scene, Watson says. I just left. Investigations revealed that the car's brakes had been tampered with, leading Teddy to successfully sue Rolls-Royce. This raised questions about who would target him, considering his numerous enemies and his penchant for speeding. At the time of the accident, his driver's license had been suspended due to unpaid parking tickets, and it was later discovered that his other cars had also been tampered with. Just a week before the incident, he had been involved in a minor crash in his Maserati. Teddy believed the police might have been involved, having previously sued them for harassment. It goes without saying that the tragedy struck just as he was about to turn only 32 years old and had not even hit his peak, and that he was just on the verge of superstardom when it was all taken away from him. Did he fly too close to the sun and get his wings burnt off, just like the other greats at their peak? Or was it karma doing its thing for all the sins he had committed over the years? All we can do is speculate. The aftermath of Teddy Pender's tragic accident in 1982 led to a profound transformation in his life. Struggling with depression and a loss of his previously unshakable confidence, he contemplated taking his own life. Adding to this, his fans had quickly moved on and shifted their attention to Marvin Gaye's new release, S-Healing. After a year of rehabilitation and coming to terms with his condition, Teddy made a comeback by signing with Elektra Asylum in 1983. His album Love Language achieved gold status in '84, while Philadelphia International released 2 albums of his unreleased tracks, This One's For You in 1982 and Heaven Only Knows in 1983. Teddy's return to the spotlight was marked by a poignant performance at the 1985's Live Aid concert in Philadelphia, his first live appearance post-accident. The emotional performance included a rendition of Diana Ross's Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand, alongside Ashford and Simpson. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. In front of a live audience of over 99,000 and 1.5 billion TV viewers.
I am truly grateful to be here today. And I want you to know I feel your love.
That same year, he released the album Workin' It Back, but just when things looked like they were going back to normal, tragedy struck again. On July 3rd, 1986, Teddy was critically injured when the specially equipped vans he was driving slammed into a telephone pole. He suffered internal bleeding and underwent abdominal surgery to determine the extent of his injuries. Despite these challenges, he continued to produce music with albums like Joy in 1988, whose title track went to #1 on the R&B charts for 2 weeks, and Little More Magic in 1993. The latter half of the 90s found Pendergrass recording for the Surefire Wind-Up label. His autobiography, Truly Blessed, was published in '91. But from then on, he mostly retreated from the public eye, heavily attributed to health issues. On June 5, 2009, Pendergrass underwent a successful surgery for colon cancer and returned home to recover. A few weeks later, he returned to the hospital with respiratory issues. After 7 months, he sadly died of respiratory failure on January 13, 2010, with his wife Joan by his side at Bryn Mawr Hospital, aged 59.
You may now salute your bride.
Come here, woman.
He was laid to rest at West Laurel Hill Cemetery in Bala Cynwyd, Pennsylvania. And if you thought his passing meant things would finally rest, you were wrong. A different fight was about to start. His widow, Joanne Pendergrass, whom Teddy had married in 2006 in a private ceremony after the two had known each other for only 4 months, was suing the late singer's son and daughters over a protracted estate battle. After a long battle in the courts, the Montgomery County, Pennsylvania Orphans Court eventually held that the will presented by her was the only legitimate one. Joanne went ahead to demand compensation from the kids for subjecting her to humiliation, diminished reputation, emotional distress, and anxiety. Anyway, away from that, with all said and done, Teddy's positives outweighed the negatives.
Teddy that I know is the loving, kind, gentle, sweet, most incredible man that I've ever met.
From a nobody plucked out of nowhere to him being a drummer and finally on the verge of taking over the world, he surely beat the odds. One of his fans wrote, "The greatest singer ever before that horrific car crash in 1982 that destroyed his singing career. All the power was taken out of his voice. He was never the same singer after that." Another one added, "He was a giant in the industry, fine as wine and forever talented. This is a very well produced video. Thank you." Teddy was and still is the man. No one around today can fill his shoes or even come close. He's been imitated several times but will never be duplicated. He is the last of his kind, a true legend. We can only imagine what he could have achieved had he not been involved in the accident. How quickly things turned only showed how sharp the curve of life is. Finally, let's forget about what happened that night. Let's celebrate him for sharing with us his God-given gift.